Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in a game between DieStar versus Goody here on Shattered Temple. We have, let's go ahead and fix the colors. There we go. We have Goody spawning as the teal Terran player over here at the 3 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have DieStar, DieStar spawning as the purple Terran player over here at the 9 o'clock position. So this will be cross spawns here on Shattered Temple. And let's see what's going to happen in this particular matchup and what will go down between these two players. Terran versus Terran. Normally it is a rather large bio matchup with siege tanks and support. You may add in some Vikings as well, but your standard medevac, siege tank, ground support, and we'll see whether or not this bodes true for this particular game. Now, DieStar. I've been casting a lot of games with DieStar and Goody, and I believe one of the games and one of the matchups are already on Machinima Realm. I'll go ahead and try to create a link in the description if the video is already up. That game was a really, really close matchup, and I enjoyed it so much that I tried to find another game in the series and was able to catch it. DieStar and Goody pretty much opening with the same exact build so far. Both players going for that 13 racks. We'll see if anything else will be changed. Both players also building their supply depots close to home and also going for that standard of 14 refinery. So I believe it was a 12 racks and then a 13-14 refinery, as it looks like both players are now beginning to scout out as well. So both players, knowing the scouting timings on this particular map, know that they can move in with an SCV. If they scout out their opponent, if they're lucky enough, they will be able to look around the map. Otherwise, they are going to have to deal with a Marine on the front door. But they also want to see whether or not a tech lab is being added. Marines are now being trained. It looks as though Goody just doing a little bit different, opting to go for an SCV before the orbital command as this game does get underway. We are going to have a Marine off over here in just a moment, pop out and meet and greet this SCV. Same thing should be happening down over here as well, or across the map over here as well. Who is going to lose their scouting SCV? And it looks like Goody is able to turn it back around. Meanwhile, DieStar and now barrel races or just dives straight into this line over here, and he's not going to have really any room. Nice placement by Goody's supply depot there to stop that, as the SCV does get taken down. And now we see a factory coming in from Goody. So Goody opting to go for a factory. Oh, SCV gets sight of the Marine through the Zelnaga tower and now pulls back here. So two Marines just going to be able to welcome back this one SCV, as the SCV most likely will head back to work. Now, we are getting a second refinery coming in from DieStar. So DieStar may be trying to go for perhaps Banshees. Banshee's perhaps the only real viable option for double gas this early in the game, as you do need a lot of Banshees. You can try to go for siege tanks as well, but if you're really trying to get in a lot of economic harassment, you really need to go for Banshees, as it is going to be a starport and a tech lab. Same thing coming in over here. No, actually not the same thing. Goody supply blocked. Now trying to train up a Hellion, and this is actually going to delay his tech lab pretty significantly, and that's gonna hurt any Banshee harassment that tries to come out, unless Goody is just training up a Hellion and then gonna train up a Viking in order to counteract the Banshee that we see from DieStar. Marines are still being trained here. We'll see what is going to come underway. Marines back over here, making sure that no Reapers are going to get in, as DieStar now lifts off his factory and puts it in line with his barracks. We are going into the cloaking field. We should be getting a Banshee up in just a moment, as soon as there's 100 gas. There you go. And you can see that the tech lab, because of that supply blockage, Goody is not going to have his Banshee up nearly as quickly, so that may end up hurting him in the long run. Is he going to lift it off, or is he perhaps going to do something else as the Hellion now returns? It is going to be a swap, and now we are also adding a tech lab over here as well. So Banshee and Banshee now coming in. It doesn't, the cloaking field now, oh no, going into the Caddis reactor. Okay, so we're going into a Raven and the Caddis reactor. That is rather interesting. It doesn't make a lot of sense, since the Raven takes 80 seconds to build, and the Caddis reactor Raven takes 60 seconds to build, and the Caddis reactor takes 80 seconds to research. It doesn't make that much sense. But I think what it was Goody started the research to make it look like he was going for Banshees. You most likely saw the little animation spinning on the tech lab. So we are going to be having a Banshee make its way in. And then he canceled it as soon as it was off. We are getting into a factory and some siege tanks now. The Banshee going to come in along the far side. There are Marines over here to try and meet and greet this Banshee. The Banshee now up on the high ground. It's simply going to be able to come back behind the mineral line here and now take out some SCVs. One SCV already down. Two SCVs down. May get even 3 SCVs or even 4 SCV kills. There's the 4 SCV kills, as now the Banshee now up down to 5. It looks like a auto turret going to be added, and now this one particular Banshee very, very low on hit points. In comes a Viking, and it does get destroyed. But Goody took a lot more damage than he would have liked, as the Banshee now comes back in. It most likely will just lie in wait, waiting to see what's going to happen, as a Viking now being added over here. I'm surprised that Goody doesn't have a reactor already building in order to be able to swap out and be able to train double Vikings if need be. This Banshee knows that it cannot really engage or harass 5 worker kills versus 1 harvester count, 30 compared to 29, as DieStar is a little bit further behind in terms of getting his orbital command up and running. Goody, on the other hand, already has his orbital command, gonna lift it off most likely in just a moment and land it down over here. Hellion quickly destroyed by a squadron of Marines. Siege tanks now in position, as both players felt like they perhaps got a decent amount of harassment in, and now we're gonna try to transition into the mid game. We are getting a lot more factories coming in from Goody, so Goody may be going for a very heavy mech style play, while DieStar, I believe, is going more of the standard bio play with 2 barracks and now adding on a barracks with a tech lab and another barracks down over here. So it is going to be 3 racks versus only 1. Marines and siege tanks looking to take down the rocks at the 10 o'clock position here in order to establish another command center here in just a moment. Meanwhile, it looks as though the Banshee is going to try to come in and finds a missile turret for all of his waiting and knows that he really can't do all too much. Viking missile turret off over here as well. Both sides near being supply block. Both sides need to get some supply depots up. 69 over 70, and both players will be a little bit stuck for a small amount of time, as Goody now goes into that 3 racks build. And I would like to see Blue Flame Hellions with an armory. Actually, no, even with the armory upgrade, you cannot 2-shot any SCVs, as SCVs have 45 hit points as opposed to 40. Marine's gonna destroy these rocks pretty easily. 1 siege tank not doing its job. The Marauder not doing its job either. Look at those Marines. Marines just shooting at those rocks and finally able to destroy them. Now, we are going into that 3rd command center from Goody. Meanwhile, DieStar does not have a 3rd command center started. We do have a starport with a reactor, and we are now going into another barracks as well. So it is going to be 4 racks versus 3 factories, 4 factories, a starport with a tech lab, and a barracks to train up some more Marines. Marauders, Marines, Hellions still moving around, adding in some more mules as the command center about to be completed here. Siege tank looking to just take down these destructible rocks. It looks like another siege tank or 2 need to show up in order to finish off these rocks. The rocks still have a fair amount of way to go before they are destroyed, as another supply depot now being added as well. Hellion's going to run straight into a group of Marines, siege tanks, and Marauders, and now these Marauders and Marines are going to come in around the far side. And it looks like Goody will be playing a game of defense here, as DieStar perhaps is going to be trying to establish another command center here. So it looks as though, yes, he should be making his way off over here, build another command center at the gold while he has the advantage. And now DieStar going to come in with this Banshee to try to get even more worker kills on the north side of Goody's base. There's the cloak, and there's the hold position. I believe it is auto-attacking, going to take down some of those SCVs. Another SCV has been taken down. Another SCV has been taken down. It's not really going to be able to get that many more kills in. Down to 20 hit points and out of sight as the cloak does engage. Oh, and out of that detection radius. Siege tanks, Marines. The Marines do have combat shield and stim already. Marines, Marauders going to try to push their way forward, perhaps deal some damage to these rocks here in just a moment. Marines making very short work of these rocks, and now perhaps going to try to do a push along the high ground here as a group of Hellions now coming in. The Hellions may perhaps be able to finish off this one Hellion, or one SCV, as the Hellions now are trying to back around. The Marauders and the Marines are going to be able to finish off those Hellions as Goody overextends with those Hellions and now gets destroyed. And perhaps we're going to have an engagement here. So Siege Tanks, Marines are going to siege up in just a moment. There is the orbital command. Siege Tanks up on the high ground. And now both sides taking a lot of or dealing a lot of damage. And now the orbital command being forced to fly away. Siege Tanks have backed off. And now it looks as though Goody's going to try to push this location with an even larger army. But good thing for DieStar. DieStar had already backed off here. And now the Vikings are going to be going after the Medevacs. The Medevacs are going to be very, very vulnerable targets here in just a moment. And now fighting back. The Hellions overextending. And now finally deciding to back off once more. DieStar doing some really smart engagements here. As I believe that was a siege tank that was perhaps rallied to the wrong location once again. Marauders and Marines still outside the front door. Both sides getting very close to being food capped. 65 harvesters compared to 54, but DieStar does have this third orbital command already mining away at the gold. That is definitely going to help. But Goody now should be able to call in mass mules down over here. And Goody already with the economic advantage. 67 harvesters compared to 54. Banshees, 2 Banshees passing each other. 1 Banshee from Goody, 1 Banshee from DieStar. It does not look like there's any missile turrets off over here. So the gold mineral patch may end up getting taken down rather quickly. The front door has a whole bunch of siege tanks and Hellions, as the Banshees are now going to be able to come in here, and Goody going to get in some free kills. 1 SCV down, 2 SCs down. And it looks like the SCVs will get slowly taken down, but the level 1 armor upgrades actually preventing the SCVs from getting 2-shotted, forcing 3 attacks in order to kill it. So DieStar finally getting the memo that SCVs should not be mining when a Banshee is nearby. The Banshee is just going to sit there as Marines are now making their way over. Marines going to try to go toe-to-toe against that Banshee, but that Banshee now down to 28 hit points. Now getting in even more kills still. So it looks like this one, that one particular missile turret, does come online and now finally takes it down. But back over here, a drop did happen as well, and a rather large one as the siege tanks and Vikings are going at it. Point defense drone already out of energy. Siege tanks blasting away, and now not very much left of these Marauders and these Marines. Another medevac does get taken down there as the Vikings are now overextending themselves. Siege tanks now in siege mode as the Marines and the Marauders are on a mission to try to finish off what is left. Siege tanks blasting off over here, gonna take down these Marauders and these Marines, but I believe these Marauders and Marines may be able to take down a couple more supply depots and perhaps supply block Goody. Goody already at 152. And another supply depot going to get taken down here. Down goes Marauders and Marines. And there it is. Siege tanks are done. A nice engagement. Both sides taking heavy losses so far as another command center being built. Goody is supply blocked at 156 over 148. DieStar not supply blocked, but slightly behind in food at 143 as a new Banshee, or rather an old Banshee, now going to come back in and perhaps get some even more damage here. It looks like, though, yes, 1 SCV does get taken down. The point defense drone was just within range to try to protect some of those attacks there. And those SCVs are getting taken down very, very quickly. Point defense drone out of energy now as the SCVs do get taken down, and now a large force in the center of the map. 3 Vikings in the air, 2 medevacs, not enough Marines to really protect those medevacs as the siege tanks are now making their way in, and Goody with 17 siege tanks. Both sides are going to now siege up, and who's going to come out ahead? DieStar has less siege tanks, and Goody has a very, very deep line of siege tanks, and they are upgraded 1-0 compared to the 0-0. And now DieStar is in trouble as Goody was pretty much going to be able to destroy any ground army if it tries to engage. Goody may upgrade this to a planetary fortress. We'll see what's going to be happening here as the Banshee is attempting to take down this one orbital command here. A Viking now finally able to make its way over, but taking down a Hellion in the process. Marauders and Marines looking to find perhaps a decent position. Goody really with these 1-1 siege tanks and so many of them really able to fend off any pushes that may try to come by land. I don't see any Banshees in order to destroy any of these siege tanks, so this is going to be rather difficult. Hellions now coming around the far side. There is a Marauder over here as we are now going to go into a drop up onto the high ground. The Hellions are in position to perhaps do a little bit of a raid, but it is not going to work out as the Marauders and the Marines are now coming straight into the group here. Down goes the Viking. Siege tanks and Hellions are no longer going to be trained as the factories are going to get destroyed. Hellions now making their way over, but the Marauders should be more than enough as the SCVs and Marines join in on the fight as well. It looks as though DieStar losing a lot in this engagement. The factory as are now just being repaired, missile turrets being added once more, and that is a lot of siege tanks in the center portion as we are now going to have a stim push, try to push this line over here. This is not looking all too good, but Goody is going to be broken. More siege tanks are going to re-siege up in just a moment, I think, and this counter new wave of siege tanks may be too much. Thor's now pushing in as well, and now the Marauders are forced to run. Hellions and a Thor joining in on the fight, and that Thor should be able to fend off all of those Marauders there, especially with that range of 7 attack, as the Marauders trying to use that stutter step in order to get in a couple more hits. DieStar sitting on 56 SCVs and only 20 Marauders. We are at 141 versus 116. Things are not looking good. 10 mules in play, really strip mining this location here. How many mules? Yeah, 10 mules in the gold mineral patches. So beyond saturation, even with just mules, as those Hellions are now making their way off to the north, we'll be able to finish off this. Oh, why didn't it attack? Just moved, didn't attack, and now Marauders are off over here as well. The Marauders trying to run around the far side. It doesn't look like they will be successful at all. They may be able to get in a couple quick hits. One Marauder without enough juice to use those stim packs does get destroyed, as now the Marauders, Hellions, the Marauders going to come in, perhaps get a couple easy shots there, but not very much, as now the Hellions finishing off this one SCV that was trying to build. Goody with still a lot of siege tanks in the center, a lot of mules. The economy has now suddenly dropped. Goody no longer mining at 4,000 resources a minute, but it is still going to be very difficult to stop him as he is still cranking out units. Hellions being doubly trained off of the factory, and I think they're even being trained at another factory. Does he have another factory somewhere? Yes, another 2 factories down over here. No reactors though, so we'll see how quickly he's going to be able to replenish his army. DieStar is in trouble. What, about 40 food behind now, as Goody is now starting to bank a lot of resources, and he's going to be able to replenish his army much more quickly than his opponent. Marauders and Marines inside the center, and now in comes the engagement. Siege tanks will siege, and here we go. Here's the exchange. Siege tanks just blasting apart, and the Marauders and the Marines being forced to pull back, and Goody just such a strong Terran player using Terran mech, and he gets the win. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.